Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture. Y'all, there is so much going on. So much going on. I'm gonna go over with you the the closing arguments. And ladies and gentlemen, I assumed that they were going to be finished by now, but they are not. So what I'll do for right now is that we will just kind of listen in to see what's going on, and then we'll do that for about 5 or 10 minutes to make sure, because the judge is sending out some directions to the prosecution and the defense, because the prosecution objected to the way that the defense is doing their closing arguments. So we are in the middle of those closing arguments. But first, let me share my screen. What's going on? Let's get to some sound in here.
Okay, we're gonna start at 9 o'clock. Folks, 9 a.m. All right. There is one.
Trying to figure out what's going on. I thought I heard them say that we were going to be. Let me go back just a tip. Let me- Give me one moment, you all. Because I could have sworn that I heard them say.
Like tomorrow, we're gonna start at 9. 9:30. 9.
Or if someone they have a problem.
Who's got a problem with 9?
Aside from me, aside from me.
Yes,
So,
I don't have a problem, I'm not sure that I can make it by 9. I mean.
So we have a juror talking, maybe that she can't make it by 9 a.m.
Can you do your best?
Yeah, of course.
All right, I'm gonna order everybody to be here at 9, but try to get here at 9, but if, you're late, you're late, I understand. Dropping off your kids is important. So, be here at 9-ish. Okay? All right. We're back on the record, all parties and council and jurors are present.
Okay, folks, so I think we left off when I was discussing with you all the whole notion of the person who used to be Relly is not Relly anymore, apparently.
Sorry about that.
Shell casings. Now, again, his story changed. Ultimately, he said it wasn't him, so some mystery man showed up, seen at 11:09 apparently. So it really was Relly, like you first said, on the to you nothing to corroborate it when they easily could have. And just ask yourselves, if Lydia Parker, Mr.
It's
Rose's
difficult to
girlfriend,
take
was
Relly's
readily
word
corroborated his
because
name,
he has said some
don't
inconsistent
take the word from her.
statements.
The fact is, Relly didn't want her anywhere near the courtroom. Anywhere near the courtroom. Remember when I showed him a picture of Miss Parker, his girlfriend? And I said, is that your girlfriend? He said, I don't know. Is this Miss Parker?
So if you just joined us, we're in the middle of the defense's closing arguments. I'm gonna go back and do a review real quick of everything that happened today. But
What he just said.
they'd said that
What
they'd
he
be
just said.
finished by now, but they
I
are
don't know
not.
if that's right. Just anything he tells the truth about. I don't know if that's my girlfriend. That's not. I don't know. That's either yes or no. He couldn't recognize his girlfriend. At one point, he said, "Oh, because she had makeup on." I mean, we're not talking about clown makeup, right? I mean, she literally said, "My girlfriend." Why lie about that? Aside from his name, I don't even know if that's really his name. Did he not lie about anything in this case? I mean, you know that wasn't truthful testimony. He didn't want the only person who could or couldn't corroborate his story to be anywhere near this courtroom. And I submit neither did they.
All right. So I wanted to stop the live stream right there because what I wanted to do right now is go over the prosecution's summation, and then we'll get back to Takapino's summation at this time. So we'll pick up where we left off. And matter of factly, I probably will go back and just go over the beginning. So I took some notes, y'all. Let me get to my notes. And if you like what you see, please hit that like button. I really would appreciate it. So Attorney P, because I can't pronounce his name, is not prosecution Levin because he's very hyperbolic, but the calmer prosecutor, prosecutor P, he got up and I will tell you, if we're looking at styles, I did enjoy the style of how he laid out the evidence, but let's go over what he talked about. He quickly established for the jury that they had to make the assumption if the gun was real or if the gun was fake. He put forth that ASAP Relly because again they knew that the defense was going to go into and dig into ASAP Relly's character. He made very much he wanted the jury to know that his character or his lifestyle didn't matter, and that came from the defense asking questions about whether or not he was a millionaire, what did he do for work, all of these little different things. They said that it didn't matter that if ASAP Relly wanted compensation, it was not their job to uh, deliberate whether or not he was going to get any money. So they're not supposed to uh, consider any compensation. He replayed the video and the audio from the first location, and he played the video. Okay, he played the video from the first location with audio from what they had indicated was the second location. He said it was a 1v3 that ASAP Rocky, ASAP 12E, and ASAP Ills lured ASAP Relly to the place to ambush him. They went back and forth about who would you think is a more credible witness, ASAP Relly or ASAP 12E. So he's asking the jury to place weight on who they believe is a better witness. They said that things about what Relly said is consistent during the several times that he had been it had been discussed, that he had talked about certain things. They're saying that ASAP Relly thought that he was going to resolve some previous issues that he had with ASAP Rocky. Now, I will tell you that the prosecution was very vague about wanting to get whatever those issues were. If you've been following the case, part of the issue was the fact that ASAP Josh had passed away, and that ASAP Rocky had made promises to ASAP Josh's family that he would pay some cost for the funeral, and it didn't happen as quickly as people thought it should happen. And so ASAP really was quite upset about that. And there was some statements that he had made to other people. And you know how that is when loose lips sink ships. Too many people are talking and it gets back to Rocky. And so they're not talking like they were, or being friends like they were. Uh he thought that the prosecution stated that really wanted to get together with them, with ASAP Rocky, to talk about the relationship, to try to mend the relationship. Uh, the prosecution was keen to mention Rihanna's name, to say that her and Rocky are a very powerful couple, and they have the ability to ice ASAP Relly out of his business. They're saying currently that he is no longer in the music business because ASAP Bars labeled him a snitch online. Now they did talk about or discuss the fact that they felt like because ASAP Rocky wielded some sort of power, that they mentioned the outburst that ASAP Rocky did when the prosecution was talking about the AUG, the AWGE, and what that stood for. And they said that ASAP Rocky said, "Don't say it." And then when you go to that website, it's like Fight Club. The number one, you don't talk about what AUG is, you don't mention it or anything like that. So they made it seem like some big secret society or something. Now they were talking. Now one of the things that because they went over and pulled up some California law, but one thing that I put down there was the fact that really wasn't thinking about the gun. He follows the defendant, and he wasn't in fear of his life. Now they're going to have to contend that if he felt like, the prosecution stated that ASAP really acted as if the gun was real. That ASAP acted as if the gun was real. He hold on, gotta put my notes down. He acted in concordance, and he showed the video that each time that they had met up, ASAP really was acting as if the gun was real. They haven't mentioned or discussed the question as to, if he believed that the gun was real, why would he follow him to the second location? And they were fussing and arguing and fussing and arguing. So they used the video and they slowed the video down, and their narrative is as follow: is that the Rocky shot before Relly gets Ills, that Relly uses Ills as a shield. They debunked the warning shots because they were slowing the video down such a pace that you couldn't tell who was doing anything. Now I will tell you, that second video is so grainy that you can't hardly see anything. And I don't even see, how when a gun goes off, there's like a little spark. You don't even see anything like that. The prosecution called the prop gun absurd. He said that him pulling a gun out on ASAP Relly, and ASAP Relly knowing it was a prop gun, was absurd. They also discussed, like, it doesn't make any sense. Him and ASAP 12 had been assaulted in a club, and they had been stabbed. And so if you've had that type of violence and shoot on you, why would you have a prop gun? Now, it is noted that they've had this prop gun since a certain video that was done. They did show a little portion of this video, a video shoot. And they also mentioned that ASAP Rocky had had a home invasion completed. So they're saying that all these events happened prior to November 6, 2021. And so they're like, it didn't make any sense if you're going to have a level of protection that you would have a prop gun. So the prosecution in their summation is basically saying that the gun that ASAP Rocky had was a real gun. They really hammered home on the fact that ASAP Rally did not know that they were a gun. And then matter of factly, they used Wally as tapes to show that. And what they basically did was, you remember he's not an ASAP, but his name is Wally. And Wally had taped his conversations with ASAP Relly. And so they used those conversation tapes to show that ASAP Relly did not know that the gun was a live gun. They argued that it was real. Part of the reason why they argued that the gun was real because of how the gentleman dispersed when the positioning of showing ASAP Rocky shooting the gun. That ASAP 12E went behind a wall. ASAP Relly grabbed ASAP Ills. They started tussling and all kinds of stuff that was going on. And then they showed ASAP 12E and ASAP Rocky running away. And they're saying that the behaviors of how they behaved in that moment made it appear that it was a real gun, even though ASAP 12E said it was not a real gun. And ASAP Lou said it was not a real gun. They went over and talked about or negated that the gun was pulled out after ASAP Ills was grabbed by ASAP Relly. And again, they were doing all of this while they had slowed down the video. They negated the self-defense that and I'm just going to read to you that you can't have belief in future harm. Prosecution states that everyone reacting like Rocky pulled a real gun. They reviewed ASAP 12E's testimony. Again, remember I told you they said that he was hiding behind the wall and everything like that. They reviewed photos. ASAP 12E had testified that ASAP Ills had markings on his face. And so they showed a picture of ASAP Ills. ASAP 12E said that ASAP Ill's lip looked swollen. He says, but he couldn't see any other image injuries. They're saying, well, if his mouth was bleeding, his lip would be swollen. He says, I don't know about that, but I know what I saw at the moment at that time, that his mouth was bleeding. Let me see. They went over the injury to Relly, and they made a statement to the jury that even though this crime did not result in a serious injury, because it is an assault with a semi-automatic weapon, the potential of a serious crime exists. So they were basically saying, do not take into account that ASAP really was not had a bullet hole or anything like that. That he had a knuckle grazing. That's not the point, even though it is part of the point. But you don't have to take that the lack of serious injury in the point that according to the statute, it's the potential of a serious injury, because him at the time, him having the gun and him putting the gun out was an issue and a problem, and that shows that he was meaning harm. So this is the things that they said that they did not have to prove. They did not have to prove that he touched anybody. They did not need to prove that he intended to use force. They did not need to prove that he had injured anybody, and they did not need to prove that he fired the gun, or that he pointed the gun. They went over and they did discuss about, okay, ASAP Relly recovered ASAP Relly, ASAP, aka CSI Relly. He recovered the shell casings even after the police had been in that area and didn't see any shell casings. And they basically said that the only outcome that they should be able to put forth is that he's guilty. They said that you can disregard ASAP Relly's inconsistent testimony. You can disregard Wale's testimony and recording because you can because of the fact that he didn't know that he was being recorded. His statements were still the same, even though they wavered every now and then. And these were his unfiltered thoughts. So his unfiltered thoughts was the same thing, and he didn't even know that he was being recorded. Let's see. The prosecution used those tapes against Rocky. They state that the recordings backfired, even though those recordings were presented by Rocky's team, and they proved Relly's version of the event. And they said that Relly was consistent with his message. They say that the defense needs you to believe that he planted the cartridges. The defense didn't show proof that the prop gun existed. And they said, they were going over that. They haven't even shown any proof that the prop gun existed. Now, remember, it is not the defense's job to prove anything. It's the prosecution's job to prove things through a reasonable doubt. So they were saying that there was no independent proof that the gun existed. They went back to ASAP Blue's testimony, and they said that the police found no evidence when searching the home of a prop gun. So therefore, there was no independent proof that the prop gun ever existed. They're saying that Rocky has so much power that he initiated a code of silence amongst the ASAPs to not talk about this prop gun. But everybody is supposed to have known that there was a prop gun. And then they also mentioned the fact that, no one said anything about this defense until 20 minutes before the trial started a couple of weeks ago. So that is basically the end of what the prosecution was, their summation. So we're going to go real briefly in the summation of Mr. Tacopino. He went over the charges. He briefly went back over the charges. He talked about the 2 charges that Rocky has against him. Now, I also mentioned too that for those ladies that are in the courtroom watching this, shout out to Nick at Night and I'm Not a Lawyer but Mel. They're in the courtroom and they're giving some blow by blows on Twitter. But we did find out that the family came. Rihanna brought herself and the 2 boys, and they were in the courtroom, and you could hear them when the prosecution was doing their summation. He went over that count 1 was for what happened at the parking garage. Count 2 was what happened on behind the parking garage when they left, went on the side street. He says that prosecutors have to prove or beyond a reasonable doubt that Rocky had a real firearm in both instances and didn't act in the defense of himself and others. He went over Relly's lies and inconsistencies. He also went over the fact that Relly's aim or goal was to sue. He also pointed out that the police covered that area where where ASAP Relly said he found the shell casings 2-3 minutes after he returned to the place. Now, he didn't say that, but there is no video to show that ASAP Relly returned to the place at the timestamp that his phone said that he was at the place. There's no video showing of him. Now, there is a person in a white shirt that's there. First, ASAP Relly says it was him. When they were questioning him about his clothes, he said, "Oh, no, that's not me." So he went on record saying it was him, and then he backtracked and said it wasn't him. There were no fingerprints on the shell casings. When the police raided ASAP Rocky's house and they found real shell casings, they did not match. He also brought up the fact that Rocky with the paperwork that they showed that he purchased real guns and things like that uh after the incident happened on November 6, 2021. And he says that there's paperwork to show that. Uh, they said that the officers did not find shell casings. One of the good parts that he had on his thing is that he used a video. Now, the place he lined up to ASAP Relly's testimony about where something happened. And he showed that there were 7 or 8 police officers with really bright police flashlights that went to the whole place, went through that place where they were. They didn't go down up and down the street, but the exact place that Relly said that he picked up those shell casings, the police scanned that area and didn't see those shell casings. So it doesn't match up that they would be in the exact spot that he said that he found the shell casings. And when they went back, they were in that exact, they were literally standing on the spot and there were no shell casings there. However, ASAP Relly comes back an hour or so later and takes his cell phone and he finds the shell casings in that exact spot. So they were very good about lining that up, that you can't believe that he found those shell casings. Where did he get those shell casings? They did the he went back and said that, again, that Relly's motive was $30 million. And if you look at the pictures of his knuckles, this one, and these 3 knuckles were the one that hit. So he wants $10 million per knuckle. The defense talked about the magic bullet because they were saying that it was a magic bullet to go and to scrape all of his knuckles in the same area. If he's moving his hands, if he's grabbing somebody that like this, the way that the bullet would have come out, if we believe ASAP Relly, was the bullet came this way. Now he's this way, and it went down and it scraped his knuckles and then fell wherever it was supposed to falling. Now, mind you, he's moving and grooving with ASAP Relly, ASAP Ills, excuse me. Tacopino put back towards the jury that, hey, if we're looking at the difference between ASAP Relly and ASAP 12E, if you're being asked to see who is telling the truth, you will know that regardless of what was said and how it was said, ASAP 12E's story didn't change. It made sense. ASAP Relly changed his story 11 times, talking to different people. Let's see. And then there was an objection. And he did hammer home again before we saw what we saw earlier in this video, that the police didn't find the shell casings. And they were looking at the spot. So that's where we got to before the prosecution started objecting to the way Tacopino was giving his summary, using words like, I think they said that he used words like suborning perjury and all of that. So what I want to do is to go back to where we were. We'll start from here. So you've been caught up.
I asked Kathy, the court reporter, to check her notes, and she's able to do that. And, there is an indirect reference, and it's not even clear, to rally and embracing perjury. So far, Kathy has not found the word suborn. Embracing perjury, I don't even know what that means, but from here on out, if any counsel wants to state that a witness committed perjury, that's fair game. But I do not want, either directly or indirectly, any counsel accusing the other one of suborning perjury, encouraging perjury. I don't want the word counsel and perjury being used together.
Turning a blind eye?
What?
Turning a blind eye?
He's so tired of both of them. He don't know what to do. He is so tired of both of them.
Yeah, and stay away from that. They're only, they're winning at all costs. Well, it's fair comment on the evidence.
Because Judge, they can say about the evidence, they cannot say prosecution is all they care about is winning their case. All they don't care about justice. That there's authority that says that is.
Yeah, no, that's a
The judge,
stay away from that.
you don't believe it's true.
No, I don't,
So
and I know it's not.
See,
All right, so stay away from what the prosecution's motives are. Talk about the witnesses, don't talk about the prosecution's motive. And when Mr. Lewin speaks, you're not to talk about the motives of Mr. Tacopino or Mr. Seals.
Joe, you're free, you're free to comment on, hey, they didn't call this witness, et cetera, just not that extra step.
All right,
Well, my explanation will be much shorter now.
what's that?
My explanation will be much shorter now, so.
I doubt. Okay, we're gonna start at 9 o'clock. Folks, 9 a.m.
All right.
Let me move forward. Moving forward.
They have a problem.
Who's got a problem with 9? Yes,
Oh, sorry.
I don't have a problem, I'm not sure that I can make it by 9. I mean, I have to drop off my kids in the
Oh.
morning, so I come right after.
Can you do your best?
Yeah, of course.
All right, I'm gonna order everybody to be here at 9, but try to get here at 9, but if, you're late, you're late, I understand. Dropping off your kids is important. So, be here at 9-ish. Okay? All right. We're back on the record, all parties and council observers are present.
Okay, folks, so I think we left off when I was discussing with you all the whole notion of the person who used to be Relly is not Relly anymore, apparently, who came back at 11:09 to the scene to retrieve shell casings. Now, again, his story changed. Ultimately, he said it wasn't him, so some mystery man showed up at the scene at 11:09, apparently. But one of two things happened here. Either that really was Relly, like he first said on the video, coming back at 11:09, staying for 2 minutes, returned to the scene, and he lied, of course, then about being there with his girlfriend, if that was him, and about taking photos of the shell casings while there, because those photos weren't taken until 11:40, 11:45. Or the prosecution has absolutely no evidence whatsoever that he ever returned to the scene, ever. Whichever one you choose, the prosecution has no evidence at all that Relly actually recovered those shell casings from the scene.
Great point.
Called his girlfriend, Miss Parker, to back up his claim. Yes. She's probably busy doing what she does, but she didn't show up. Their burden to corroborate with witnesses. I mean, the word of relic, I think, is fair to question. There are a lot of things in this case that are going to be easy to corroborate of his word, if they're true. I'm going to show you a little list of those sort of cool I put together, but not yet. But there is no corroboration, and they couldn't. Lydia Parker could come in here and say, yes, I went back with it. We found 2 shell cases. She's still his girlfriend, apparently. No evidence whatsoever that he took the shell casing while at the scene. While on that point, by the way, the photos taken with Relly's iPhone of the alleged shell casing, allegedly taken at the scene, but not until 11 they had time date stamps on them. But what you didn't see from the prosecution was the GPS location data for those digital photos on Relly's phone. Why? I mean, you know, they didn't show you, what else they didn't show you was GPS location data from Relly's iPhone to show you rear 6, 2021. That would solve a lot of mysteries here. It's not like they from Relly's iPhone, which they had. That would have answered all the questions. Could have corroborated it or not. After all, you heard that law enforcement, in this case, went out of their way to get a search warrant to obtain GPS location data for ASAP Ill's iPhone, just to show that he was one, near Selma Avenue and Vista Del Mar about 10:12 p.m. on November 6th. It showed that.
One of the places that I think that he's going to is that they made sure to find out where ASAP Ills was, but I don't know if they did cell phone tracking on ASAP Rocky, ASAP 12E, but they didn't do any GPS tracking on ASAP Relly's phone. And so again, we don't have a good chronological order of where ASAP Relly was at certain times. Number 2, we don't have his girlfriend, who he says was assisting him looking for these shell casings.
In his location data, and he was near Rocky's residence at 11:11 p.m. that night. That's from Detective Flores' testimony, lest there be any confusion. The question was asked, and specifically, it's important because it showed they could have gotten GPS location data from their only witness who's not corroborated, and whose word may be a little shaky. And specifically, the T-Mobile information law enforcement obtained authorized to search Ills, Elijah Ulunger's, ASAP Ills, his call detail records, and his GPS location. Detective Flores is correct.
Please hit that.
And the GPS location data, I should say, answer yes, okay. And those records, the GPS location data that you all were able to obtain showed that Elijah Ulanger, ASAP Ills' cell phone was near Selma Avenue and Vista Del Mar at approximately 10:12 p.m. on November 6th. And so I believe that's correct. Question, those records showing that his story was not truthful. They just didn't do it.
His tongue is a stranger to the truth.
I want to pause here so this really sinks in. Detective Flores told you that he wouldn't want
Is this Miss Margaret?
Not I don't know because she had makeup on.
A little disturbed by that photo, but anyway, back to more important things. What he just said was, I don't know if that's my girlfriend. I mean, just anything he tells the truth about. I don't know if that's my girlfriend. That's not. I don't know. That's either yes or no. He couldn't recognize his girlfriend at one point. He said, "Oh, because she had makeup on." I mean, we're not talking about clown makeup, right? I mean, she literally said, "I'm my girlfriend." Why lie about that? Aside from his name, I don't even know if that's really his name. Did he not lie about anything in this case? I mean, you know that wasn't truthful testimony. He didn't want the only person who could or couldn't corroborate his story to be anywhere near this courtroom. I submit neither did they. The judge told you, the defense does not have the burden to do anything in this case. They do. They had the burden.
That is a good question because she can corroborate everything that he's saying, but yet he doesn't. He said that on the stand separately. He didn't want her to be anywhere a part of this. Then he started talking about he felt like his family was in danger. But interesting, and it's interesting that the prosecution didn't talk to her either.
We don't have to prove anything. We didn't have to introduce a single piece of evidence. We didn't have to produce a witness. That's because the laws of the United States and the Constitution demand that. But as a matter of fact, we had more substantive witnesses in this case to testify than the prosecution did. We want to give you the complete picture, all the evidence, because we want you to know the truth. And there's nothing to hide. Rocky did not commit a crime, not by a long shot. Why? Again, I need the answer as to why they didn't show you the GPS records of Morelli, when it could have shown where he actually went after the incident. from the incident, where did he go for that hour and a half? And where did he take those pictures from?
Great question.
That would have been important, especially if there's any question that that video may not have been shown to other attorney. If that wasn't him returning to the scene at 11:09, 11:11. So where was he really at that time? Unfortunately, we don't ever get the image because they didn't get his GPS location information. We're just supposed to accept his word that he didn't go somewhere else to get showcased. We just have to accept it. And the judge gave you instructions on this about the credibility of the witnesses, and it's in your agreement, take it back with you there. But it says that a witness lies to you on an important fact of the case.
Please hit that like button.
You can feel free to disregard the entire testimony of that witness, or you can just disregard that one fact and believe the rest. But he lied to you about so many crucial things. I'm not talking about his inconsistencies. Again, we'd be here until the summer. He lied to you about the most crucial facts in this case. You know, by the way, this is not someone who's uncomfortable around guns. You heard he owns a 9mm, posted those pictures on the Instagram. It's 9mm sticking out of his waist, he said. You heard he owns 9mm semi-automatic. We've never seen proof for where he actually obtained it. Second, he blatantly lied about his access to 9mm showcases in Los Angeles. That's another example of perjury. And that was a big one. And we have to talk about this. We have to spend a little time on this one because what happened there was very crucial. He lied about having access to 9mm showcases 2 weeks before the incident on November 6th. He lied to them. He lied about being in Los Angeles. He lied about having access to showcases. He lied about shooting. I'm going to show it to you. This next episode is not even one lie or one perjury. It was like a perjury miniseries. This next one. It was unbelievable. One lie piled onto the next one, onto the next one. He got caught with that, then he went to another. It was a glorious training. And you're going to see it. I mean, I asked him first if he fired a 9mm weapon before November 6, 2021. Sort of an important fact. Because we need to have access to 9mm shell cases. First he said, no, absolutely not. Then I wanted to make sure, I wanted to almost help him give me the truthful answer. I said, well, how about at a shooting range a few weeks before November 6th? Did you fire a 9mm at a shooting range? Right, tip him off on November 6th, 2021. He said, definitely not. And I repeat this, definitely not? And he got all belligerent with me. He says, you heard me, definitely not. I didn't even own a firearm, he said. I only got my firearm license a year and a half later. Listen.
Let's move closer to the time of the incident on November 6th, 2021. A few weeks before November 6th, 2021. And a few weeks before, you testified that you found showcases at the scene. Finally, the showcasing. You fired 9mm weapons at a shooting range, correct? Definitely not. Definitely not. You heard me? Definitely not. I didn't have my firearm. You got my firearm license a year and a half later.
So you heard me. I think this. He did not like me, clearly. Look, I asked him to confirm that answer. You heard me. What are you asking me? You heard me. Definitely not. I didn't even own a firearm. I only got my firearm license a year and a half later. Lies, 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 lies. And that's when we all saw the video of Mr. Efron firing a 9mm semi-automatic weapon on October 19, 2021, 2 weeks before the incident on November 6th. And I pointed out to Mr. Efron, I said, what you just told this jury was that before November 6, 2021, you didn't fire any guns because you didn't have your license. And then he said, no, no, unless I was at a shooting range. And I said to him, sir, I just asked you, were you at a shooting range? And you said, definitely not. And I asked you again, and you said, you heard me, definitely not. He just made stuff up as he went along. Look at this.
Mr. F. You just told the jury. I don't know what I'm doing, 316. There's 265 days I'll be here. Hold on for a second. Hold on. What you just told this jury was that before November 6, 2021, you didn't fire any guns. So she didn't have guns. It was just last time I was shooting range.
I mean, you just saw his testimony, which was about 1.5 minutes earlier, where I said, was that a shooting range, please? Maybe you did that? Definitely not. Twice definitely not. And then explain why it was definitely not, because he didn't even have his firearms license or whatever. When he got busted with the video that he didn't think anyone had, because it was not brought out on his direct, of course, he said, I said unless I was at a shooting range. He just thinks he can make that up in front of you. Like, he just told you definitely not at a shooting range, and then just in front of you, like, I don't know, guys. I mean, there has to be a point in time where you have to be so offended by him just looking at you guys and lying. He's took an oath. An oath. You know an oath means absolutely nothing to him. Absolutely nothing. He didn't say that. That was blatant perjury right there. He witnessed another count of blatant perjury. But what happened in the courtroom after that, I think made it worse. After, you're going to see it, what happened. Because this was now all about, okay, so now we got him firing a gun. Don't play that yet, please. We have him firing a gun before November 6, 2021. We have him firing a 9mm. He lied about it repeatedly.
So when ASAP Rally did that testimony, one of the things he stated is that he didn't fire a gun. He hadn't fired any gun. All right. One thing ASAP Rally was doing also is that he was coming to the internet to see what people were thinking about and what was being saw. And he saw that some people had pulled up in his story on Instagram where he was firing a gun at a gun range. And then what was then discovered is that he was firing this gun at the gun range almost 2 weeks before the incident. So this is just Pam Entertainment TV's assessment. The prosecution did not take ASAP Rally's phone to figure out where he was from the incident from the time that he left the incident to the time he says he came back to look for the shell casings. Now remember, there is no video evidence showing that he came back to the scene of the crime and picked up the shell casings, because remember, there's video footage in that same area. There's no video of ASAP Rally coming back. He says that he came back about an hour and a half. An hour and a half would have been about 11:10. Somebody was there, but ASAP Rally said it wasn't him. Plus, there was no second person there, because remember, he said that his girlfriend assisted him in finding these shell casings. First, he said that she was maybe like 2 to 3 feet 2 to 3 feet away. Then he says that she was down the street. Then he says no, she was there. So when they couldn't show the video that he was there, he had no explanation of it. And remember, he did not go to the police until 2 days later. And so he had enough time. He had enough time to be able to get bullets, because again, I wasn't clear. The gun range in which he was firing from was in Los Angeles. So wherever this gun range is, within a span of 2 days, it's reasonable to assume that he could have gone to that gun range and picked up two shell casings.
And then, so after securing the date of the 9mm firing of October 19, 2021, I tried to ascertain the location of the shooting range. And the prosecution then asked for a stipulation. You're gonna hear it, that the shooting range was taken outside of California. And the witness also adopted that. Let's look at this.
And where is it? And where is it? Is it taken this whole thing? We have a situation on that date. On that date, this is outside of California.
There was this stipulation, but at the time, I believe all parties in good faith believed that the shooting range was outside of California. No one is at fault. It's what the parties believed at that time.
Well, I didn't believe anything, so I didn't know. I'm not saying anyone's at fault, I'm just showing how it's played out with the witness. You pull out the witness.
Right.
How we adopt.
The prosecution asked for a stipulation based on what has happened so far up until this point. They believed in good faith that it was outside California. The fact that it wasn't came as a surprise, I believe, to everybody. But
Well, except the witness, which I don't know.
everybody at council table.
Yeah, not believing everyone counts it, I just want
Right.
to, just let us play out how the
New
witness.
Jersey is something like that. Like, yes, it's not.
The same objections, improper argument over this.
I explained to the jury. Go ahead.
New Jersey is something like that. Like, yes, it's not.
Next line. Any? Last line was not Los Angeles, or not LA. So anyway, the witness then said, after hearing whatever he heard in the court with the banter, he then said, well, maybe it was probably New Jersey, something like that, but it's not LA. I knew that for sure. He knew that. So, understand what just happened there. The witness, all of a sudden, after lying about all those things we just went through, and I'll repeat them again, then heard argument and said, oh, but it's not LA, it's maybe New Jersey. Because being in LA, that would have been a problem. But something happened over the weekend, little problem for Mr. Rose. See, on Sunday, between 2 p.m., and he was on Friday, that was on Friday. On Sunday, between 2 p.m. and 11 p.m., someone on Twitter posted a screenshot that you still heard about, of a video showing Relly at the shooting range that was played before you, alongside a picture of the Los Angeles Gun Club. Locations right there. It would say. Relly was tagged on that. Relly was tagged. So what does Relly do? Sometime between 2 o'clock and 2:50 that same day, immediately, he calls the prosecution and says, oh, I checked my Instagram account and I realized I was in Los Angeles on November 19, 2021. And I realized I was at a shooting range. And what's the reason the prosecution elicited from Relly as to why he made that discovery? Well, he was going back to check his Instagram account on whether the shooting range was in Los Angeles because he wanted to correct any mistakes he made. So it's true. That's literally what he said to you. He really was concerned about making a mistake, so he wanted to make sure he checked his Instagram account to see if he made any mistakes. First of all, I asked him, see, your Instagram account doesn't have anything about gun range. Then he started saying, that's not my Instagram account. Well, aren't you?
The reason why this is so funny is because he testified that, you know, the gun range was outside of New York or New Jersey. He was nowhere near to be thing. And then, like I said before, he went back and he checked his Instagram because he was checking to see what people were basically saying, and he realized that people had found out that his Instagram was showing that it was in Los Angeles. It was Los Angeles. So he calls the prosecution that Sunday to let them know that he wanted to change his testimony because he misspoke. Now, during his testimony, because that testimony between him and defense attorney Tapatino was very contentious. And then he was saying that Tacopino was trying to slip him up. It wasn't his Instagram. He knew it wasn't his Instagram. You were trying to, there's only way that you were trying to slip me up because the only way that you can see something like that was in my archives, with him not understanding that they had made copies of that, or they took screenshots of his Instagram well before he had put those particular videos in his archive.
Really, boss? Yeah, but, okay. Okay, folks. I guess you didn't go bother checking all his other so-called mistakes that he made. Just that one that happened to have a post busting him at 2:00. Within minutes, he calls the prosecutor. He was tagged on the post. Within minutes, he called the prosecutor. What a coincidence. You know, what about all the other mistakes? What executives did you meet at Capitol Records and Universal Records that you no longer meet because of what happened here? You couldn't mention the name of anyone he met with, but he said they were on his phone. He could check his phone. Oh, there you go. He was checking his phone to correct the record here. That didn't happen. How about the Miami property, Mr. Relly, that you invested in? I mean, last year, it was only last year, sir. You invested in Miami property. You posted on your Instagram. I asked him, which property in Miami did you invest in? I don't remember which property. Lie. I mean, no one invests in property doesn't remember which property. Unless you're a gazillionaire, and that doesn't matter. And he's not. And then I asked him, well, how much did you invest in the property? I don't remember. He didn't go back and check that. So remember that, just remember that one, how that all played out here when considering his credibility. Really told you, it's not that, there's so many things, the Miami property thing, that was just nonsense. But this was horrific. You got caught live. It's made in New Jersey, definitely not LA. I went back and checked, it's definitely LA. That's clear perjury. So you know he didn't check his Instagram account, wanted to correct a mistake about whether the shooting range was in LA. That wasn't truthful testimony. You've seen him testify in the courtroom. The witness who told you when he said definitely not, he was committing perjury, because that was his then answer. He cleared that up. I'm gonna show you this in a second. When he said definitely not to me, I questioned him. I said, you said definitely not. Because then he got busted with the Twitter thing. And he said, well, yeah, I just made that up because I didn't want to answer any of my questions, any of your questions anymore. He literally said to you, he just lied under oath on a very important fact, like whether he had access to 9 millimeter shell casings, because he was tired of answering my questions. I just don't lie to you.
This one on this topic, correct, just a few minutes ago. Okay. Okay, yes, I did. Okay, you said yes? Yes. Did you look like you were confused by that question at all when you said definitely not? And to be honest, I just wanted to stop talking to you.
So, you look like you were confused by that question because he said he was confused by that all of a sudden now. When you said definitely not, I didn't shoot a 9 millimeter at a shooting range before November 6th, definitely not. So you look like you were confused, then she goes, to be honest, oh, here we go. There's a watershed moment. To be honest with you, I just want to stop talking with you, so I just said, Jesus. Just give me my 30 million and let's get this over with. He just told me
10 million per knuckle.
but you should believe him without corroboration. we all know it wasn't a mere coincidence that minutes after that post that he was tagged on, he told the DA. He called because he knew what was coming the next day on Monday morning. He knew it was coming. And that's the prosecution wanting to correct that mistake. I'll hold that. Let me move on. But again, that is not a minor factor in this case. That's not a minor factor. It's not a game. This is life. Whether their so-called victim, Tyrell Efron, had access to 9mm shell casings just a few weeks before the claims were found 2 9mm shell casings in Los Angeles. Yes, he did, in the same city. He had access in the same city. Here's the funny thing about facts. Because facts weren't getting in his way. But the funny thing about facts is this, as John Adams once said, it's one of my favorite quotes. John Adams said, facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes or our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. And you cannot alter the state of facts and evidence, no matter what Relly tells you, no matter how you want to interpret his testimony, no matter what they say to you. So with this evidence, ask yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, did Relly first lie to you about going to a shooting range where he had access to 9mm shell casings, and then lie to you again about having access to those 9mm shell casings here in Los Angeles? I mean, why would he do that? Why would he lie about those two things? There'd be no reason for him to lie about that unless it was to cover up something about those 9mm shell casings he claims he recovered. No reason to lie about that. You know exactly what happened, why he lied about it. As the police found when they got there, there was no shell casings there because he had a prop gun. He had a prop gun, as unimpeached witnesses told you. And he claims that he got these shell casings from the scene an hour and whatever later, a half later. And then he held them for 2 days, gave them to the police 2 days later when his extortion defense failed. One thing's clear, the prosecution has not proven it beyond a reasonable doubt that Relly did not get those shell casings from somewhere other than the scene. They did not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. That's enough. That's enough. Beyond the fact that Relly had access to shell casings in Los Angeles now that we know which he lied about, the prosecution presented no evidence, zero evidence whatsoever trying to corroborate Relly's claim that he actually found those shell casings at the scene. None. Not William Parker, not GPS location data, stuff that would have done it pretty quickly, pretty easy. Not a video. Relly first said that it was fake. When I showed him that video, it was fake. He didn't think anyone knew we had those videos of him at a firing range. And by the way, we're not like master investigators. They were just on his phone. We just looked at every single thing on his phone. They had it too. They gave it to us. We didn't hear about that on his direct testimony. It would have been something to bring out to deal with. That wasn't brought out. If we didn't cross-examine him, we never would have known he was in Los Angeles 2 weeks before, with 9mm shell casings popping back into his head as he's firing. And he lied about it, perjured himself. There's only one reason he would lie about that. Cover it up. Heard about the magazine. I'm gonna get that magazine. So at Block 43, Mr. Chris Lomax spent a lot of time on it today. And there was no effort made to test. Now, you heard the judge, he instructed you that 2 weeks, I think it's 3 weeks ago now, he instructed there'll be no testing on that. 3 weeks ago, right after the trial started, 3 weeks ago, no testing. Here, going forward, great. That's January 2025. What about 2021, 2022? Well, not 2021, because they recovered in 2022, let me be fair. 2022, 2023, 2024. 3 years they had to take that magazine that they recovered and test it to the bullets recovered. They didn't do that. Instead, they spent their efforts having a ballistics expert come in, show you a very nice PowerPoint presentation, which in the end proved only that the shell casings possibly, there's that word again, possibly came from an aftermarket slide for a firearm frame that could possibly have been compatible with the Glock 43, or not possibly. I mean, literally, that was the import of that testimony. Possibly could have come from an aftermarket slide for a firearm frame that could have possibly, this is his testimony, possibly been compatible with the Glock 43 magazine, or possibly not. That was the ballistics expert's testimony. Possibly or possibly not is definitely not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In any event, Lou Levin told you that the Glock 43 magazine was his. He explained why it was his. Whether they want to mock him, mock his answer, he was in Rocky's house after they planned to go to a shooting range. He told you he had bought it, he owned the Glock 42. And magazines are stored all next to each other, 42s, 43s, and all that stuff. Lou told you. I don't know anything about this stuff, personally. But he went to the store to buy accessories. He mistakenly grabbed a Glock 43 magazine because they're all different models of Glock. The magazines are all stored together, he told you. He told you he didn't realize it until he tried to load it at Rocky's house in preparation for going to a shooting range. And then when his .380 caliber Glock 42 ammunition didn't fit, he tried 9mm ammunition from his Smith & Wesson, which he did, from his testimony. And of course, that magazine didn't fit any of his firearms. He left it at Rocky's house. Why? Why not return it? He told you. It was over an hour away where he purchased the thing. It would have cost more in gas than the $20 it cost him for that magazine. But one thing you know, despite all the questions from the prosecution, Mr. Lewin, they did absolutely nothing to refute or contradict this testimony. Absolutely nothing. Because it was true. I mean, at one point, he told you that magazine was never used. He told you it was never used. You take this back, you have all the evidence with you. But the reason he told you it was never used, he just got a picture that he looked at it. There's not a scratch on this thing. It's a piece of plastic. It's a cheap piece of plastic. That's why it costs $20. He told you it was never used because if you put this into a steel gun, a Glock, this is going to scratch.
There's no evidence to support that.
This is pure. It's virgin, as Levin said. There's no scratches on this thing. It's brand new. And they had 3 years to test it. 3 years to test this. They didn't do it. Not only did they not connect really shell casings to the magazine in Rocky's house, they didn't connect those shell casings to Rocky himself. And that's important. You heard that law enforcement submitted those shell casings for fingerprint analysis and found absolutely none on there. And I asked the day before, I said, you could find fingerprints on a piece of metal, right? That pretty easily. He said yes. So they submitted Rocky's fingerprints for fingerprint analysis against the shell casings, and they found none. So they tried to make excuses for that. That's another fact that's not good. So they tried to make excuses, like, have one of those bullets. During the show, this one's recovered. Claimed to be recovered at the scene by Robert at 11:45. with no GPS navigation. Anyway, um, they claim, Victor Flores said, yes, you do get fingerprints. My fingerprints are all over this thing right now. Okay? He said, yes, you'll get fingerprints on a shell casing, metal, it's empty, it's portion. But then they said, well, could there be a reason why you wouldn't get fingerprints? And he said, yeah, there could be. So that's one that was, yes, rain, water, cars, and even wind. Imagine that. Maybe wind wiped the fingerprints off the shell case. Imagine. So now my fingerprints are on this thing. Oh, there goes my fingerprints. Are you kidding me? Wind? Wind knocked the fingerprint off the shell case. That's an excuse. It's not a fact. There was one other explanation by Detective Flores that makes a lot more sense. He said, well, human contamination, like someone wiping fingerprints off shell casings, that could do it. And you know that after those shell casings were, yes. Alex, now where am I? All right, open up. Human contamination, that's right. Human contamination. The detective said that human contamination, like someone wiping fingerprints off a shell casing, that could do it. And you know that after those shell casings were fired, the only person with an incentive to wipe them clean would have been Relly before he gave them to the police. Just like he wiped his phone clean of threatening messages to Rocky. We'll get to that. They didn't bring that out. We have to. So Relly wants you to believe his fingerprints weren't on them because he supposedly went to Dunkin' Donuts to get a bag to pick them up with. And you know that's not true. There's no Dunkin' Donuts open at 11 p.m. at night, especially during COVID.
Objection sustained. Objection sustained.
Well, you decide if that testimony is correct.
There's no testimony, Mr.
No, there's that.
Ms.
Objection
Sanchez,
sustained about when Dunkin' Donuts are open until.
That's
The
not.
jury's job is to decide the credibility of the witnesses, including all testimony that is given by that witness.
So here's what the witness said, and it's your job to decide. Bang. He said, I went to Dunkin' Donuts at 11 o'clock at night, got a paper bag from Dunkin' Donuts at 11 o'clock at night in Hollywood. And that's the bag I used to put the bullets in that had no fingerprints on it. You determine the credibility of that statement. He came in here and told you that. You also heard that law enforcement took Rocky's DNA. They actually took his DNA, despite Detective Flores saying that DNA was necessary as part of their investigation. He had to swear that to a judge. They never compared it to the shell casings, or even the magazine recovered in Rocky's house. That might help. They didn't do that. For that matter, you know that Relly's 9mm shell casings were different than the 9mm shell cartridges found in that magazine. You've seen that picture a hundred times. Completely different brands. The ones in the Relly said he found were Federal cartridge. Lululemon's cartridges were made by Sig Sauer. Completely different. Again, on that point, you heard the magazine was never used, was fully loaded, meaning 2 cartridges were not missing from it, but they were different bullets anyway, so it doesn't matter. Lest there be any question that Glock magazine in Rocky's house was not the magazine seen in the video on November 6, 2021. All you have to do is look with your own eyes. All you have to do is look with your own eyes. So after this part, I think we can stop it, but let me just go through this last name. The Glock magazine seen in the video is different. The Glock magazine recovered, which we just showed you actually, is a Glock 43 and it's black. Black, that's the magazine. The magazine that you're gonna see in Rocky's prop gun on November 6th was not black. It was extended, as Lou Levin told you, to look more intimidating, because it was a little thing, block. And if you look at it, you're going to see what it was. But don't forget, 12 and Lou both said, and the prosecution sort of mocked this somehow in their summation, they said, oh, conveniently, they both identified the belt and the extended magazine. So they both could identify, the thing. They conveniently came up with these two different things to be able to say it was the same prop gun. Not conveniently. Look at the picture. That's what it was. Lou put it together and Colby saw it. That's the magazine in the, okay, I know what we're doing here now, thank you, Ken. That's the, we'll use that point again, or,
Yeah, you see on screen.
what, I was too hard on the screen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was pushing through it. Did everyone see here? No, okay. Anyway. That's the magazine recovered. Here's the prop gun. I'm gonna try and do this where. How about now, we good? All right. That little thing at the end is the belt clip. That's a clip. And that's what Lou Levin described. Here's what you see. This thing, this clear, silvery looking thing, is the extended magazine that Lou Levin described, that 12B described. It's part of this Glock prop gun, and it's an extended magazine. So it makes this thing look bigger, and they both described it as clear. This is the first time, because if you play this in real time, you'll never see that thing. We stopped it. And so here is the magazine, the extended magazine, to make this thing look bigger, and it's clear. It's not that. It's clear. Okay.
Right now.
Yeah,
All right, folks.
all right.
We'll resume at 9 tomorrow. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourself or anybody else.
So we have finished
See you tomorrow,
part
9.
of
9 a.m.
Takatino's. We have completed Takatino's part of this. We're going to resume tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is about 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we definitely will be able to do this. We will review again the end of the closing arguments into the deliberation. So I did the poll. I asked you all, what did you all think? Before closing, did you think that ASAP Rocky was not guilty? Was he guilty, or were you unsure? I had 3 votes, and all of you said that you believe that he is not guilty. I do believe that ASAP Rocky's attorney has poked some holes in the prosecution's theory. One of the things I think that he did masterfully was he showed that ASAP really cannot be dependent on his testimony. He played his testimony back. He also showed that he is, that he lied, and that he will come back and try to clean up this lie and make an excuse why he was lying. They also showed the inept investigation, because they did not investigate where ASAP really was those 2 days before that he had turned in those shell casings. They don't have video evidence to show that he returned back to the scene when he said he returned back to the scene with his girlfriend. Now at 11:10 Pacific Standard Time, somebody in a white shirt came back. But ASAP Rocky said that that was not him. Plus, it was only one person. The girlfriend was not there. You heard that ASAP Rocky was not truthful about if he could identify his girlfriend because she had on makeup. Okay. So I think that they did a good job of poking those holes. They did a good job of saying the prosecution never did prove that it was not a prop gun. So I think that they did a good job there. And as I said earlier, the prosecution did a good job to continue to establish that ASAP Rocky was seen with the appearance of a semi-automatic weapon. They have the testimony of the lady that lived upstairs that she saw them. She did not see nor hear a gun during the time of the first incident of the first count, which was in the garage area. But she said that she did see them fighting and tussling, and then she did hear a gunshot, and she was the one that called the police. So they do establish that he had the weapon. And according to what they're saying, they don't have to prove that he shot, he injured. It was the fact that he had the gun and he fired the gun, and that therefore he broke the law. Okay. So we're going to see. Now, I will tell you styles. Again, I thought the prosecution was clearer. Prosecutor P, as I'm gonna call him, Perry the Platypus, Prosecution P. I think he was much clearer in his delivery. I think Tacopino, he though he bounces over the place and he has this gruff speak, but I think that gets in the way of what he's saying, because he'll say something and he gives a lot of commentary to me that's unnecessary, but he's still getting the information across. It's just a matter of styles, the way I like to hear for things to be heard. I prefer how the prosecution is telling the story, but I'm hearing what the defense is saying, and they are poking good holes in this story. It's just his delivery to me is a little choppy or whatever. So we will meet back here tomorrow. I'm going to do the live stream tomorrow. And we will meet back here probably around the same time. Probably a couple of hours earlier, but I'll do the thumbnail and put everything up for tomorrow, and we'll definitely go through the testimony, and then we should be getting in deliberation, and they should start deliberating this case no earlier than noon their time, Pacific Standard Time. Yeah, because I think Tacopino has to go, and then there's a rebuttal, and then if Tacopino wants to, yeah. So I think that he's gone. The prosecution is going to rebut some things, and then it's going to get to the jury. Okay. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, we're at the end of the ASAP Rocky trial. We are at the end. And I don't know if he's going to be we don't know what's going to happen, because I think it will be in the hands of the jury tomorrow, and we will definitely be doing that, and we'll definitely be on trial watch tomorrow and Monday. If they come back tomorrow, they've pretty much had their minds made up, regardless if it's guilty or regardless if it's innocent. So we will see. So we gonna see if Rihanna's man gonna be in prison or no. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.